So, good day, everyone. Good day, good morning, good evening, wherever you're in the world. Welcome to another Power BI section brought to you by UrBizEdge. So for today, we have a special guest, Derrick Kuria, sorry. We're taking us on the topic tax overview analysis. That's tax oversight analysis. So this session is brought to in collaboration between Enterprise DNA and UrBizEdge. So for some of you that might be interested in some online training Power BI, you can check out Enterprise DNA with a motto of empowering Power BI users to change the world. It's a very, very big platform in the US and other countries. They also offer hackathon, that's data challenges and the rest on LinkedIn. So you can also check out Enterprise DNA. So as you all know, we're also a training company in Lagos, Nigeria. So this is our calendar for our upcoming training. So I think we're done for the training for the year 2022. So it's the next year, which is 2023. So for on the 13th of January 2023, we're having big data analysis, Power Query, Power Pivot, and VBA in Excel. For some of you that may be interested in automation using Excel. Also on the 13th of January, we're having in-depth Excel training, executive dashboard, and business data analysis. Also on the 9th of January, we're having business intelligence and dashboard using Microsoft Power BI. So our special guest, Derrick, is a Power Platform and application developer at Dimension Data. Started in tech by learning statistics and wanted to know more in his application in real world, as more like real world application of statistics. Joined a technical accelerated program for data science run by a Moringa School. Fast forward after 6 months later, he gained proficiency in executing data-driven solutions to increase efficiency and accuracy, as well as delivering insights and implementation, that's implementation action-oriented solution to complex problem. Passionate about data storage and its insights, diving into database, cloud computing, data visualization, and machine learning algorithm. He's also an advocate for data ethics and data privacy. So no further ado, I want to hand over my session to Derrick. So Derrick, I'll stop sharing my screen and hand over to you. So Derrick, over to you.
Thank you, Tanidayo, and thank you for all who are joining and people even who will be viewing this recording. As you've heard, my name is Derrick. I'm an IT application developer for Dimension Data. Dimension Data is a company across East, the Middle East and Africa, and also in the Europe that mostly deals with giving services. And one of the services that we do is providing data services. And I am a BI developer mostly, but also deal with RPA and data science, that is machine learning algorithms. And I'm glad for all those who have joined here today so that we can be able to have this discussion and I can do this presentation. So I know the topic or the wording of this this presentation is quite a catch, and probably that's why we are here, but I'll help decode it so that we can be able to understand what I'll be discussing today. And then after that, I will jump into a demo. Most of these things will be things that probably we've done before, but what I wanted to do with this topic, task oversight analysis, is a topic where in companies, these are very practical topic because task oversight is more so project management, and as you know, most companies have projects that they usually oversee, and that is project comes in, a project is used is given to a project manager. That project manager helps to execute the project as it is passed to the ones who are supposed to do it. And then now, after that, that project will now come to an end after it has been executed, and that will now mean revenue has been achieved by that company. So most of the companies have this model where they provide services, where they provide goods to different clients, and that's what we'll be discussing today. So how can we be able to represent this aspect of a fast to the end of this project analysis, which is sort of task oversight, where you can be able to see the task from the beginning up to the end. So I'll just share my screen and we'll be able to see just a small presentation so that I can be able to even help you get this more. So I hope my screen is visible. And so task oversight analysis.
Yes.
Thank you. So this is more about projects. Projects come in, projects are put into maybe a CRM or whatever database that you're using. And then now these projects are given to different project managers. These project managers oversee these tasks, and these tasks are now seen up to the end of them being able to bring revenue. So I think I've explained what is task oversight analysis, and I hope everyone has understood. So just to explain it by definition, it is a data-driven platform sort of thing that displays metrics, statistics, and insights that are specific to particular projects that are coming to the company, or strategy by presenting a tailor mix of key performance indicators in one central location in order to benefit the project's performance. That's the main goal, to be able to show how your company is performing from a project's performance perspective. So and it's important so that we can just understand, if you've never had any of these interactions, maybe you can understand the importance of task analysis in project management. First of all, it helps identifying patterns in project planning and make future forecasts on project completion. So once you're able to see how projects are going, probably this type of project will take this time. So you are able to plan and be able to say, we have assigned this project this number of days, so that you can be able to do it perfectly. And then the next one is accounting for all projects from start to the completion. Of course, when you have data that is showing all projects, now there cannot be sort of, even revenue being slipped off, because you're able to see this project brought this revenue, and this is the cost that went into it. And then, of course, we can observe anomalies and outliers. This is when probably there's a project that took longer than it was expected. Maybe some goods were not there. Maybe the service person who was supposed to give it or was supposed to perform it was not there. And so we're able to observe these anomalies and outliers that happen in projects. And the last one is have an organized reporting that will help increase project performance and hence save time and increase revenue. And that's the main goal of task analysis. That is to be able to increase project performance, so projects can be able to be performed in the right time that is required. Hence, it will save time, and of course, it will increase revenue. And that's why this is very applicable even in most of the companies. So I'll just jump to the demo. I'll stop sharing, and then I'll share my screen. My Power BI. Of course, most of these metrics that I'll be showing here are things that you've already done, things that you've already seen, but I'll be also including other stuff that probably you've not seen before, so that you can be able to understand how project task oversight analysis happens. So I'll stop sharing so I can share again, and just request for myself to put off my camera so that we can have an easier time when we are going through this, so that there can be concentration as I share my screen. So maybe a minute as it comes up. All right, here it's coming up. I don't know what's up. What's going on?
So are you using the Windows version or the app version?
I'm using the. No. I'm on the application. I'm on desktop.
Okay.
Yeah. But I believe it will come up now.
It will come up
So
now.
just give me a minute. Just tell me when you see my dashboard. So I thought of sharing, showing mostly the things that I've been able to achieve on a dashboard rather than coding in live session. I don't know if that's okay, so that I can be able to show the different aspects rather than being able to, code, which first of all will take more time, and 3, to reduce errors. And of course, I will share now this file, the PBX. I'll just put it in my GitHub or somewhere where now you can be able to get it. And I'll also share the data so that you can also be able to get it. And now you can add stuff, you can understand the data, and you can be able to see what you'd like to understand from it, from what I'll explain. I hope that's okay with you, Temi?
Fine.
That's fine.
Perfect.
All right. So I've first shared my PBX, but maybe I can bring the data that I used. So close this. Okay. So this data, I created my own data, and I don't know if you guys have seen there's this new site called Mokaru, and Mokaru enables one to be able to create their own data. So I wanted to sort of mimic data that I have seen before for this task so that it can be able to be understood. Second of all, I tried to be as Nigerian as possible, and I have task owners whose names are Nigerian. And so maybe you will see maybe names that are more familiar here. So Mokaru is a platform that enables one to create data. And this you can be able now to use your own data rather than use data that has been seen before or data that is private. As I said, I'm also a big advocate for data privacy, so I wouldn't like to show data that belongs to someone or a client. But I believe this will be able to show us what we'll be doing. So we just have an ID. We have the company name, which are just normal company names or company names that have been brought up. We have site names. So each company, think of this data as, let me clear this filter. I think of this data as each row is a project. So for example, we have the first company called Stossins Jacobs. They are located in Kano. This project was entered in this date and it's still ongoing. So if it's ongoing, it does not have a completion date. The revenue that is expected to be achieved from this project is this value, and this is the recurring revenue. So think of recurring revenue as what will be paid every month. So if you're expected to get this value every month, this is what will be gotten. And then now there's the non-recurring revenue. Non-recurring revenue is what is paid once when that project has been completed. Most of the projects work that way. And then we have a task owner. This is the person who is in charge of that project. And then we have the currency that these people will be paying in. So depending with where they are or the company, this is the currency that they will be paying. I hope that data is understood. Very easy. As you can see, first of all, we have empty rows in complete date. These ones are for projects that have not been completed. That means they're either in progress, not started, or they're still ongoing. And then we have task owners who have not been assigned here, or they have not taken ownership of the project. So some of them are also empty here. So I'll jump back now to the Power BI, and I'll be able now to show you what I was able to come up with. And I hope you'll be able to understand now how this task oversight analysis enables us to do the different things. So the first thing, I think I'll first go and just, of course, I loaded the data, and the data is, of course, I know even in this call, you know how to load data, and that data is here. So nothing has changed in it. I just have the entry date. I have everything as it is in the Excel. Nothing sort of special here. The only thing that probably I only saw was an error that I saw. I don't know if people have seen this error, and I had a problem with it. Probably you might also have a problem with it. So let me try and get it. Let me try and get this data so that I can show you the error that I saw. I don't know if this will be fast. So that if I share this data and you get that error, you can be able to solve it as well. Yeah, so I'll just load it, but of course I'll delete it because we already have that data. So when I was transforming this data, of course, when you load it, you choose the data, then you transform. Sorry, it has shared to my other screen. So let me slide Power Query. Of course, after you load data, it comes to Power Query. And you can see now we have another data tool. Of course, after the first data that we were able to load here, some steps have already been executed. The source has already been input, navigation, and then the headers have been promoted, and it has changed the type. So maybe we can delete this first. And as you can see, the date type is in text, which was a problem at first, and I tried to change it to date, and of course I'm surprised it works now, but and I think probably it's because of the changes that I did in the backend, but the issue that was here is I had to change the locale. I don't know if people have used the locale or locale. It depends with how you mention it. And I was able to change the type using locale here, using locale. So maybe it is accepting because I'm loading this data again, but I had to come to locale and change the data type here. So of course it was in text first, but I had to change this to American so that it can be able to come, it can be able to go back to the, because I think the date format that I created it with here was not the date format that Power BI accepts. And so it was a bit of an issue since it was only remaining as text. But now I believe it works because I had already changed those settings in the backend. Let me just delete this data because we already have it, but I hope that explains what I wanted to say. So actually we can close this. So as you can see, these are the steps for the data. I did the change type by locale, and then I removed all errors, and then I replaced the value. So there was one value that the date was not very correct because this data was sort of, some of it was manually input, other was input by that system called Mokaru. I'll drop a link, and that's why I had to replace a value here, but nothing else special that was done in the cleaning of this data to make it what it is at the moment. So I'll close because I don't think I've made any changes. Yes. So I hope we are still together, and of course, if you have any questions, feel free to pen them down in the chat, and then we'll be looking at them quite later in case of anything is not understood. All right. So the first thing is, so I created metrics, of course. And as you can see, I also created 3 tables here. So I have an aging table, I have my date table, and I have a currencies table. And these 3 tables are very helpful to me. Probably usually do this in a different way, but this is how I approached it. And so for the aging, it's maybe I can start with the calendar table because that's what we all understand. And so I just created a calendar table. Most of people usually have one block of code where they create the calendar table, which is fine. I also do that for some time. But for this project, I just thought maybe I could create the columns themselves one after another by adding new columns, which was also awesome, and it worked. And I'll just take you through maybe 2 or 3 columns that I think are very interesting so that you can be able to see how I did it. Of course, I know probably most of you have done this, but I believe something that people have not, maybe a lot of people have not seen, is be able to create a week date or a week number, which is a financial week number in the date table. Remember, 7 days add up to a week. That's very easy. And mostly we say weeks start on Sunday and end on Saturday. That is very direct. So that does not change. 7 days add up to a week. But now when we come to weeks adding up to months, sometimes a month can have 5 Sundays, it can have 4 Sundays. It can start on a Wednesday, it can end on a Friday. And so being able to put now the weeks into not only quarters, not only in the data, but also in the fiscal, now put them in the financial is usually quite a problem. And probably you've not faced this problem, but I did before I was able to do it. But now what I have is I got some very useful data and or a useful code. And this code is it's from Enterprise DNA. I was researching how to add weeks into the data, and this is what I got. And so it's a very quite interesting way to put it. It's quite, as you can see, it's quite long, but it works for what I wanted to do. And so I think what I understood with it, because a lot of it is quite most of the things are understandable. For example, here we did, of course, we want our week to start on Sunday. And my assumption for this company is that the fiscal month starts in April. So, and then now we have the fiscal first day. So this was helping us just to be able to create when the fiscal starts, and how we are able now to put it, because now this will help us to generate the series here that will enable us to use the calendar entry date and now create the weeks in the fiscal data. And so it's quite an extensive code. I can't say I can account for everything that is written here, but the good thing is that it was able to bring out the weeks as I wanted them. And now I got a week value here. Of course, most of the other things are understandable. For example, weekday and weekend. For example, you want to know when a week is a weekday, when a day is a weekend, and when it's a weekday. So I have weekday, weekend. For some projects, you would like to know projects that were being worked on a Saturday or on a Sunday. How are they being worked on, especially for people who have projects that go even into weekends or something of the sort. And so this is very interesting. You can also check this out. I'll share this PBX, and you can be able to see the different aspects of the data. So that's how I created my data table. Quite easy. I added each column. Sometimes it's good to try and do things in a different way. Don't just copy the whole date and paste it there. Yeah, it works, but sometimes it's good to challenge yourself. Try to write some code, and you'll see how it goes. And so that's my date table. And of course, now when we come here, I connected my date table with the entry date here, because I wanted it to connect with the entry date. Of course, you can create another one where you want to connect it with a complete date, and you can use it to filter also. So it all depends on how you'd like to do it. For me, that's how I did it. And you can also do another one, as I said. So that's the first table. I'm trying to rush because time is moving very fast, and we also need to move very fast. So maybe we can jump in fast into the data and see what I was able to come up with. And then we can now go to the rest of the tables as we look at the formulas that I was able to create. So remember, we have, just to look at the data the last time, the data that we are using. So we have an ID, which, remember, each ID represents a project. And then we have the site, we have the entry date of that project. The work status is where the project has gotten to. We have the revenue, which is recurring. This is what we expect to get every month. after the project is completed, and this is what we are expected to get after we have completed installing the project or whatever task we are trying to get. This is the task owner or the project manager who has been assigned this project. Then we have the currency that will be paid. So as you can see here, I have other columns, and I created a column here. So the best way to be able to have your numbers is to be able to have a fixed, to have like a central sort of currency, and that's what I did here. So I changed all the currencies. Remember, these values will be paid or were paid in different currencies. And so I would like to have all my numbers in one currency so that when I add, this value can make sense. Because if I was to add this value would be absurd because the different currencies are not being accounted in my addition. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I wanted to do. So I said if the currency is Nigerian, so I decided that my flat rate or my flat or where I want to convert to is to Nigerian naira, and so that's why I'm multiplying Nigeria by 1, but all the others are multiplying by the currency exchange value that I was able to get from the internet. So if you know the currency rates, of course you can be able to Google this, and now you can be able to convert. And so this converts, this is just a switch statement or an if statement that checks if this value is in Nigerian, multiply by 1. If the value is in Ghanaian cedi, it multiplies by this value, USD, and so forth and so on. So I did that for this revenue and NRR, of course. That's why I have the revenue recurring in Nigerian and also the NRR in Nigerian. And then I created another column here. And so one of the biggest aspects of task analysis or project management or anything is to understand aging. And so I just want to show you what I did here with aging. And aging is being able to know how long a project took. So if a project started from a specific date and it has not ended, that means we are subtracting that start date and the date of today, because that's how far that project has gotten. But if it has ended, we'll subtract the entry date and the complete date. So that's what we will do there. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that is understood. Yes, so as you can see here, aging, we are checking if it is blank. If it is blank, if the complete date is blank, we are subtracting the date difference. We are doing a date diff. Date diff is what we use to subtract. So we are doing entry date minus today, and what we are using to subtract in those the denomination of subtraction is day. Of course, you can put month, you can put minutes, you can put hours, but now here we are using day. And if we have a complete date, or that project has been completed, the date difference will be entry date minus complete date. I hope that makes sense. So this is just to help us to know if it is complete, we do entry minus complete. If it's not complete, we do today and entry date, and we are able to get the aging of each project, bearing the fact that each line item is a single project. I hope that makes sense. So we go back now to we go back to Power BI. And so I did just some normal things here. The first thing is that we counted the project or the task owners. As you can see, the count of project managers or the task owners, which is a distinct count. So these are just the different types of counts. And I hope as even we go through this, you'll be able to understand some stuff. So these are distinct count, and it counts every person who is a task owner once. And then we have the sites, which I think also is also a distinct count, which will count every site that appears once. So we can be able to see which sites that we are able to provide services. We have projects completed, and projects completed. Remember, we said each entry is a project, so we are counting the number of IDs because ID is the primary key. And then we are looking for where the work status is completed. And so once we count this, we're able to know how many projects have been completed. Now, this number is not important if we don't know what's the percentage of projects that have been completed. So because this number could be completed out of 300, it could be out of 1,000, it could be out of 600,000. So it doesn't make a lot of sense if you don't have a sort of gauge to show how many projects out of what number. And so that's why I have a percentage complete here. And this is a completed. So as you can see, completed is projects completed, as we had seen, out of all projects. So we have a count of all projects, and I'll just show you that that formula, count of all projects, count of all projects. Here it is. We are counting all the rows. We are counting rows now. Rows, as we said, each row is a project. I hope we are good up to there. And then now, let me skip this for now. This will be a little bit complicated, but I'll show you once I go to the currencies. So we have a date filter. I know this is not different. You've seen this. So it has 2018, 2019, 2020, and you can be able to even drill down now to Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Of course, I did not change the quarters to start from April, but I think that I skipped that. But you can, once I share you with this, you can also do that. These are the task owners, the 7 ones that we found. And of course, you can see there is one that is also blank. As I'd shown you, maybe some task owners have not maybe taken the projects, and that's why some of these task owners are empty. So the next thing, I want to show you currencies, and I know currencies are done in a different way, but this is how I did it. So I have a currencies table. Remember, we only converted currencies in this table by putting a figure that will enable us to have, you know, a flat value here, which is now in Nigerian, and now we can add this value. But now, what happens if we want to use these values as a filter? So whatever, I still want to check Ghanaian shillings. How are we buying Ghanaian shillings? Ghanaian cedi, in euro, in USD. And so this is the method I used. I know there are different methods to do this, but this is what I did. So I put all currencies in a table. Of course, you know, this can be done by entering data. As you know, you can enter data. And so that's what I did, enter data. And I put Nigerian, Kenyan shillings, Ghanaian cedi, US dollar, and the euro. And then now we still have a flat rate where we want to convert it to, and that is Nigerian shillings or Nigerian naira. And then now we have the conversion of Nigerian naira to Kenyan shillings, to Ghanaian cedi, to USD, and to euro. And now these are the values that we'll use to multiply. So this table, first of all, this table is not connected to anything. This table is a standalone table, as the aging is. So these tables don't have relationships. I know if you've done Power BI, you know the relationships one-to-one, one-to-many, and many to many. But as you can see, this table does not have any relationship. We'll just reference it, and we'll use it to convert our values. And let me show you how we do it. So we are finished with the counts. So we'll now go to monetary, and I just divided my data into my metrics into different ones here. So the first one, so this is the achieved recurring revenue. And so what is achieved recurring revenue? That is the revenue for completed projects. So for a project that has been completed, that means we got that value and we were able to get that money. So we'll be able to see how we did it. So as you can see here, we have a formula here. But of course, we first did the sum. I think I should go to the sum first so that you can understand where we are coming from before even converting. And this is the sum. Of course, this is understandable. I hope you can be able to see this. We are calculating the sum of the recurring revenue, now in Nigerian, because that's our value that we want, because it is in Nigerian. And then we are completing where we are calculating where the work status is completed. That means we are getting all the amount of revenue that has been completed in Nigerian shillings. But remember, we want to convert it and have a currency where we can be able to see different values. So that's where now this measure comes in. And now we have a sort of a selected currency measure. I know many people maybe multiply, others divide, but this is what I did. So I created a selected currency, and let me just show you that this is just a simple measure. Let me show you so I can be able to understand. And it's called selected currency. And what does it do? It just returns the values in the currency table. Remember the values that I showed you? The values that are here. The values that are here. So we go back. So that's what this selected currency returns. Values of the currency table. All right. And I hope that is understood. So when we are now doing this calculation here, we now have the selected currency. If the selected currency is Kenyan shillings, we'll do now the value that we have calculated, and we'll divide by the value per Nigerian shillings. I hope this makes sense. So that means all these values will be represented, and once we put them in a filter here, we'll now be able to see if I choose Kenyan shillings, now this value changes and it divides, and you're able to see now the achieved recurring revenue has been done in Kenyan shillings. If we choose euro, you'll be able to see that. I think probably it could be wrong. It should be dividing rather than multiplying, but I think you get the hang of it. It's just supposed to enable us to be able to see how we're able to convert all the values of the currency, and we can be able to convert them perfectly. I hope that makes sense. And so that's the first page. And of course, I put a background image, as you can see it, but I tried to blur it so that, as you can see, it's not very shouting, but if you have a keen eye to details, you can be able to see that. And I hope it looks somewhat attractive, so that when you are showing stakeholders or whoever you want to show this dashboard, it will be able to make sense. I hope that explains this first page. It's just the landing page, nothing as much. And so we can go to the next two pages so that you can be able to finish. So the next one is aging analysis. And you remember what I told you about aging analysis. I said aging enables us to know how projects, how old projects are, how old have projects stayed in the workload or something of the sort. And I hope that is understandable. So I have a table here. Maybe we can start with this table. And this table, it looks quite easy, as you can see. Nothing shouting as much here. We just have, remember the formula we created, the aging formula. That's what we have here. So we've just put different columns of that company. Remember, each project was a company. So we have the companies here, or our clients, and we have the sites. Now, the formula that we used to calculate is here, the aging, and then we have the work status. So this will enable us to know Barrows has, which we were supposed to do on each Sha. I guess that's a town in Nigeria. The aging of that project has taken this long, and the work has not started. Of course, this data was created. I did this data myself. So if the data does not make a lot of sense, do not question it. I was just using this as an example. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. So I hope you understand this table. Nothing as much. I just added different columns, and of course the column that I created for aging, and that will enable us to know how each project is aging. All right. Now, when we come here, now the hard task is around this table, because we are going to utilize an aging table. And now that will take us to our next table that I wanted to show you, which is our aging table. Now, our aging table is just a classification to put our projects in different age classes, depending on how long or how short the projects have stayed. So as you can see, the aging, the first one here is, of course, I put this data. First of all, I did enter data, and then I was able to type this. So this should be understandable. So the first one is less than 30 days. That means it's between 0 and 30 days, right? And then the other one is between 30 and 60 days. That means it starts from 31, because that is already accounted for here, 31 up to 60. All right, and then now 60 to 90, 90 to 120. I hope all this makes sense. And then I added 120, greater than 120. Now, remember, 120 does not have an upper limit or up the maximum. So you can put any high value that you're sure the data will never get there. Like I put for myself, I put 100,000. I'm sure a project will never be old to go to 100,000 days. That will be like 30 years or so, which I believe is too much for a project. And then I put an index. Of course, this index can be added on Power Query, so that now, in case I need to order things here, that will make sense. So we go back to our visual here, and that's what I first added. I added less than 30 days, 30 to 60 days, 60 to 90 days, 90 to 120 days, and greater than 120 days. So I believe until there we are fine. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to know how many tasks or how many projects or how many items that you are supposed to achieve have only entered between 0 and 30 days, and what is their revenue and what is their recurring revenue. Now, especially for here, you're supposed to have, maybe I can add this now. I don't think I accounted for it. This one, we can be able to put, only ongoing. And maybe let me just add that. I'll not try this, so if it backfires, please forgive me. So we don't want to put completed projects here, right? So we can remove ongoing projects, and that removes a lot of data into our project, because remember I created this data from scratch. That's why maybe it could be different. But of course, we wouldn't want to put aging of completed projects. I hope that makes sense. Aging of completed projects, we've already achieved this project, so we don't need to see why they are staying for this long, right? And so aging will probably be for projects that have stopped, or projects that are ongoing, or projects that are in progress, and that's why we have it there. So the next thing that I want to show is the tasks, and that's where I was going to. So let me see how we be able to calculate this. So we have a very complex sort of calculation here, and the calculation is as follows. So we are counting the data IDs that are in the data, and after we count them, we want to now distribute these IDs of these projects into the buckets or the aging table. And so we are going to pick each distinct projects and now reference it to the data aging table. And now we'll count rows of the aging table where now the maximum or the date of the entry, we are going to use the aging mean and the aging max, and be able to now put them and it will spread those projects inside there and be able to quantify if this project has stayed between 0 to 30 days, 30 to 60 days, 60 to 90 days, and so on and so forth. And so that's what this formula does. It's a formula that it took long to to crack, because once you put projects, we thought once you just put all projects here, that it will work. That let me show you what I thought in the first time, that once I put all projects here, that it will be able to show that all projects will just be able to, but you can see it brings a value that is not even making sense, because it brings all the projects that I have created, as you can see here. So that's why now I used this count of projects aging, which now enables us to be able to calculate that. Maybe I could change the name so that it can be back to how it was. tasks. All right, as you can see now, it is able to spread out those projects in how we would like them. Let me just take it back so that we can use the order we were going. Yeah. So we have the aging, we have the task. I hope this is understandable. And so we'll do the same for the revenue. We don't just want to put the revenue in there. We want also to distribute this revenue, both the recurring revenue and the non-recurring revenue, into the same way. And so that's what we did here. So we did the sum of the non-recurring revenue, and we count the rows of each of the non-recurring revenue, and then now we filter using the aging table, and now this aging table will be able to classify whether it falls between the max and the mean. Of course, it uses now each project, and then it goes doing the sum of that non-recurring revenue, and now we can be able to know if this revenue is revenue that is supposed to be achieved between 0 to 30 days, 30 to 60 days, and so on and so forth. The thing that I did not do here, and probably something that you could also go try on now, is add the value here and convert this value into one that it can be able to be selected, now having then the selected currency. Because if I was to add a currency filter here, it will not work on this because these values are just in Nigerian shillings. But if now I was to add that sort of formula and then now exchange these formulas with those formulas that have the selected currency, now that will be able to enable us to have these values in a better format. I hope that makes sense. So maybe once you do that, you can come and check this out. I'll share this file, so if you want to try it, you can try it. All right, and then now we have the oldest project. Maybe you've been asked to show which is the oldest project, which project has taken the longest, and it is yet to be completed. So this is what I used here. We have a date difference, and we are checking the minimum entry date. Of course, we want to find the earliest entry date, and then we would check where the work status is not completed or is not stopped. So we want to remove completed and stopped. We want to see progressive projects, and that's what we're checking here. Of course, we are checking that with today because all progressive projects don't have a complete date. So we are subtracting the date difference between for the entry date for the entry date of the project and today. And of course, that denomination is in days because we don't want to subtract in months or in years. We want to subtract in days. Hope that makes sense. So we're able to get that. That's the oldest ongoing project. And as you can see here, that project is here because I have arranged this in alphabetical, not in alphabetical order, in ascending order. And so you can see this is the highest, and so that's what we have here. I hope up to there we are good. And then now we want to do the last one here. This one is counting of projects aging. So the formula is here. Nothing different. This is just as I was showing you before. We have the projects aging here as the formula that I was showing for aging. So this one now just counts the projects. I hope you've understood what's going on here. And once you put now that aging, you put that aging here, and you are able to see now 0 to 30 days, how many, 30 to 60. And as you can see, now this is a graphical representation of this, because this one, these ones are quite small, but now the greater than 120 is quite big. And so you can see how many projects are here. As you can see, this is 975, which is represented here. I hope that makes sense. So we are good up to there. So the last thing that I'll be showing so that we can be able to complete is this table here. So there's nothing much here. I'll just be showing you the KPIs, and the KPIs are the key performance indicators. So this one will help us know how like the task owners are performing. And as of course you can see, we have filters here. We have the task owners filter. So if I was to select, for example, Emeka, I can be able to see all the projects that Emeka has been given, the completed revenue that Emeka has achieved, the count of sites that he has worked on, the achieved NRR, and of course we can be able to see if it's blank or not. I hope all this makes sense. So let me just remove that, and now you can be able to see, now this is the task owner, all tasks that have been assigned to these people are here. The completed revenue. Of course, this one I was able to change this value into one that we can be able to change the currency. So if I press Kenyan shillings, this one multiplies, and you can see that the values have changed here and here. And so that's what is happening all here. And then we had seen this count. This is a count of sites. These are all projects. So if we were to select Nancy and probably look at the projects that she has not started, we can now be able to see she has not started 30 projects, and they are in 30, they're in 10 sites. I hope that is understandable. So up to there, we are okay. And now this one, this is the last, this is a gauge, and this gauge enables us to see how far we have achieved the NRC. And so it's just a percentage where we are dividing the completed NRR, the completed NRR versus all the NRR that has come into the system. And so we're able to see only 21% has been achieved. And that is also for what we have here. The achieved recurring revenue here is 18%. The same as the other one. It's just a sort of percentage. I hope we are good up to there. This one is just to show the amount of, remember when I showed you the task owners, some of them were empty, some of them had not taken projects, some of them had not been able to see the projects that they are doing. And so we have 20% of them are the ones that are the blank task owners, as you can see here. So 20% are the ones that are blank. And so with such a dashboard, we can be able now to account for different tasks, the amount of revenue that has been achieved for different tasks, the amount of non-recurring revenue has been achieved. We can be able to see how the sites are performing, and we can also now be able to see how the projects are aging for each of these tasks. And I hope that makes sense. So I'll share this Power BI file if you want to see it, and if you want to use it, and probably you've gained a thing or two from them, you can be able to check them and see if you'll be able to see anything that is of help to you. And so I'll stop there. And if there are any questions, you can be able to raise them. Thank you, Tembidai.
Awesome. Wow, that was a lot, Derrick. So if you have any question, you can raise your hand. I can make you a speaker, or you can put it in the chat box below. So if you have any question, you can put it in the chat box, so I can make you. Or any question, anyone? Okay, I guess no question. So Derrick, the last question I asked you, like, okay, you said you're going to share the file, right? Are you going to give us a GitHub link or something?
Okay. All right, let me stop sharing, and then I can maybe send my GitHub link so that you guys can be able to use it to get what of course I have not yet put it there. I'll put it. I'll put it.
Yeah. No problem. So when is the file upload the video tomorrow? It should be ready by then. So
yeah. By tomorrow it will be up.
Awesome. Okay, so the last two questions: how you start your own data journey, and also what advice for people just starting out in the data field?
My advice to everyone who is in the data field?
Yeah, people just starting here.
So for starting, I believe first of all, I know a lot of people come from a fear perspective that data is hard. I believe the data is not hard as long as you have the passion for it. And so what I would like to tell everyone who would like to start probably is, first of all, just give it concentration and get a few resources that can help you to know how to utilize these aspects of data. So you can be able, for example, to check different courses. that you'd like to explore. And once you check these courses, you can be able to now utilize these courses and be able to gain more about data. And so probably some of them come from Enterprise DNA. They have very good Power BI courses. I have taken several of them there, and I have learned a lot. And I believe everyone who wants to learn can be able to take them there. And of course, the next thing is consistency. Be able to keep yourself consistent. Try to push yourself to gain what you'd like to gain in the data world, and of course joining communities like this one. Of course, the other communities that are online, other communities that are on LinkedIn, and then I believe by doing those 3-4 things consistently, you can be able now to create a sort of good place where you can be able to be and be able to be successful in the data sphere. So that's what I would say, and I believe it's possible, and everyone can be able to work in the data field. Yeah.
Awesome. Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. So I guess no questions. So Derrick, I'll first say thank you very much for honoring our invitation, and I'll say Merry Christmas in advance and Happy New Year in advance. Okay, so thank you very much, Derrick. So thank you, everyone. So we'll be closing right about now. So thank you, everyone.